The strike was meant to conclude an ordinary Tuesday afternoon creature assault. Standard procedure. Saitama's knuckles met the interdimensional beast menacing Z-City with the identical, effortless competence he applied to buying groceries. But this occasion, something unexpected occurred. The monster didn't detonate into gore. Existence did. The tissue of reality fractured like crystalline glass surrounding his fist. Alabaster radiance devoured everything. Not the burst of collision, but the wailing luminosity of dimensions smashing together. Saitama experienced himself dragged through an emptiness that had the flavor of electrical discharge and scorched atmospheric gases spinning through pigments that had no right to exist. Then gravitational force recalled it possessed responsibilities to fulfill. He plummeted. Metropolis extended underneath him, all lustrous towers and midday sunshine bouncing off the daily planet's gilded sphere. Saitama hurtled toward the metropolitan core at maximum falling speed, mantle whipping pointlessly behind his hairless skull. His plunge carved a howling passage through the atmospheric vapor. Citizens below gestured skyward, mobile devices extracted, already capturing what they presumed was another space rock or extraterrestrial incursion. Typical Tuesday for Metropolis. Saitama struck the pavement with the intensity of an explosive bombardment. The collision excavated asphalt 10 feet deep and fractured glass 3 city blocks in all cardinal directions. Automobile security systems wailed in synchronized chorus. Particulate matter ballooned outward in an immaculate sphere. The champion climbed from the depression, dusting cement powder off his citrine outfit. His ivory cape had acquired a fresh rip. Irritating. He examined the destruction with moderate worry. Not for his own condition, naturally, but infrastructure damage signified documentation, and documentation signified the Hero Association shouting at him about protocol violations. Except, he narrowed his gaze at the horizon. Incorrect municipality. Incorrect structural design completely. Where the hell am I? A crimson and azure streak provided his answer. Superman dropped from the heavens with the measured elegance of an entity who'd invested years demonstrating he could touch down without triggering seismic events. The Man of Steel made contact with terra firma 30 feet distant, cape draping around his frame. Every centimeter the alien deity masquerading as human. His optical organs radiated faintly with suppressed thermal vision as he examined the follicularly challenged man in the brilliant yellow costume positioned in a recent collision depression. "I'm Superman," Clark stated, vocal tone steady yet cautious. "Are you injured? That descent should have—" "I'm fine." Saitama exited the crater with identical vitality someone might employ stepping off a sidewalk curb. "Kind of hungry, though. You know where I can get groceries? Having a sale would be good." Superman's augmented perception examined Saitama with radiographic exactness. No skeletal fractures, no internal hemorrhaging, no detectable machinery or power emanation. Simply a human. A thoroughly standard human who just endured a fall that should have liquefied his internal organs. The biological measurements made zero logical sense. Clark's processing intellect, refined by Kryptonian scientific knowledge and years of combating metahumans, discovered no classification framework to categorize what his senses reported. "You're not from around here," Superman articulated carefully. Not an inquiry. "Yeah, I noticed that." Saitama gazed around at the assembling crowd, maintaining safe separation. Mobile devices everywhere. Additional recording. He detested scrutiny. This some kind of hero city? Got a weird vibe. Before Superman could formulate a response, 3 additional figures descended from atmospheric heights. Wonder Woman touched down with combatant exactitude, palm on her blade grip, evaluating Saitama with optical organs that had observed 5 millennia of armed conflict. Batman materialized from the darkness of an adjacent passageway. Because naturally he did, mantle making him resemble Gotham's shadows given corporeal form. The Flash oscillated to stillness beside Superman, electrical discharge crackling around his scarlet suit. "Watchtower detected a dimensional breach," Batman declared, voice gravelly and antagonistic. "Right where you appeared. Explain." Saitama scratched his cranium. "Punched something. Broke reality, I guess. Happens sometimes." The Flash released nervous laughter. "Dude, you can't just punch reality. Physics doesn't work that way. I'm a speedster and even I can't. Wasn't trying to." Saitama interrupted. "Just wanted to finish before the supermarket sale ended. You guys going to arrest me or something? Because I didn't mean to wreck your street." Wonder Woman's warrior instincts transmitted warnings her rational consciousness couldn't verbalize. This male radiated 0 power, 0 divine energy, 0 speed force linkage, 0 Kryptonian signature. Yet something regarding his nonchalant posture and uninterested expression implied violence beyond rational understanding, like observing a dormant volcano pretending to be an ordinary hill. "The Justice League would like to ask you some questions," Superman articulated diplomatically. "Learn more about where you're from, how you got here, maybe help you get home." "Sure." Saitama elevated his shoulders in casual gesture. "Not like I have anything better to do." Batman's optical organs constricted behind his facial covering. The male's cardiac rhythm was consistent. 0 heightened stress indicators. 0 apprehension of Earth's most formidable champions surrounding him in tactical formation. Either he was incredibly unintelligent or incredibly hazardous. Batman's calculated assessment favored the latter hypothesis. His appendage drifted toward his utility apparatus, digits contacting the kryptonite contingency he'd pledged he'd never require using on Superman. If this stranger could strike reality itself, they'd require contingencies for the contingencies. High overhead, the Watchtower's detection equipment documented every microsecond of the interaction. Martian Manhunter observed from orbital distance, telepathic sensors investigating gently at the hairless champion's consciousness. What he discovered made the Martian withdraw involuntarily. A consciousness so elementary it was profound, constructed around a nucleus of absolute, unshakable strength. Not hubris, not self-assurance, simply certainty. The certainty of someone who'd never experienced defeat because defeat wasn't physically achievable anymore. In Gotham, the Bat computer initiated compiling danger evaluations. In Smallville, Ma Kent experienced an inexplicable temperature drop. In the corridors of Apokolips, a boom tube illuminated to existence as Darkseid's optical organs rotated toward Earth, detecting something novel, something unquantifiable, something that might finally possess significance. Saitama simply wanted to ascertain if this dimension conducted Saturday sales on vegetables. The Justice League possessed zero comprehension. They'd just encountered the male who'd broken his limiter, the conceptual maximum on human capability. A champion who'd trained so intensely, he transcended every biological regulation, every physical constant, every restriction the universe attempted to impose. In an existence where gods traversed as mortals and power inevitably corrupted, they'd encountered someone with infinite strength who genuinely didn't care about glory, domination, or even fighting anymore. He just wanted a good sale on cabbage. The Watchtower observation deck wrapped around Earth like a crown of steel and hope. Saitama stood at the reinforced window, hands in his pockets, watching the planet rotate below with the same mild interest he'd show a goldfish bowl. Behind him, the Trinity formed a triangle of judgment. Superman radiating controlled concern, Batman calculating variables, Wonder Woman's warrior instincts on high alert. "Your physiology is impossible," Superman said, studying the medical scan results holographically projected before them. No metagene, no alien DNA, no Speed Force connection, magical enhancement, or technological augmentation. According to every test we've run, you're baseline human. Yeah, Saitama didn't turn from the window. That's what the doctors in my world said too, before I started training. Batman's fingers flew across the console, pulling up the data from Saitama's atmospheric entry. You fell from low orbit, terminal velocity, no protective equipment, impact force equivalent to a small meteorite. The crater suggests kinetic energy that should have vaporized you on contact. Yet you walked away without a scratch. Landed harder before, Saitama said. Once got kicked to the moon. That was annoying. The Flash perched on a nearby console, vibrating with nervous energy, laughed until he realized Saitama wasn't joking. Wait, seriously? The actual moon? How did you... jumped back? Saitama finally turned to face them, expression flat as cardboard. Held my breath. Wasn't fun. Wonder Woman crossed her arms, lasso glowing faintly at her hip. The lasso of truth had revealed nothing because Saitama had volunteered everything. No deception, no hidden agenda, just absolute terrifying honesty. You claim you achieved this power through exercise. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, 10-kilometer run. Every single day for 3 years. No air conditioning in summer, no heat in winter. Saitama recited the routine with the enthusiasm of someone reading a grocery list. Lost all my hair but got strong. Batman's jaw tightened imperceptibly. The explanation was absurd, physiologically impossible. Yet the lasso confirmed he believed it absolutely, which meant either the lasso had malfunctioned for the first time in recorded history, or they were dealing with something beyond divine magic's ability to comprehend. That's not how human biology works, Superman said gently, trying to bridge logic and impossibility. That training regimen would build fitness, but not the power you've demonstrated. There has to be something else. A moment of transformation, exposure to cosmic radiation, a wish granted, Nope. Saitama scratched his chin. Just trained really hard. Thought I'd die a few times. Didn't. Kept going. Eventually got strong enough that nothing could hurt me anymore. Cyborg materialized in holographic form, projecting from the Watchtower systems. I've analyzed the dimensional breach data. Whatever punched through reality didn't use speed force, boom tube technology, or magical energy. It was pure kinetic force, applied with such precision and magnitude that space-time itself shattered. The mathematical model suggests the impact force exceeded anything in our database, including Darkseid's Omega effect. The temperature in the room dropped psychologically, if not literally. Darkseid's name carried weight. The weight of civilizations crushed, the weight of hope extinguished, the weight of tyranny eternal. You're saying he hits harder than Darkseid? The Flash's voice cracked slightly. I'm saying the energy signature suggests no upper limit, Cyborg corrected. Every punch he throws can theoretically scale infinitely based on nothing. No power source we can detect. It violates conservation of energy, thermodynamics, and basic physics. Batman spoke in clipped tones that meant his mind was already 12 contingencies deep. In our universe, that level of power comes with a cost. Superman has kryptonite. Wonder Woman can be bound by a man. The Flash needs the Speed Force. Magic requires components. Darkseid seeks the anti-life equation because even he has limits. He stepped forward, cape sweeping dramatically. What's your weakness? Saitama thought about it. Really thought about it. The heroes waited, tension mounting. Mosquitoes are pretty annoying, he finally said. Can't seem to hit them. Too fast, I guess. The Flash snorted laughter before catching Batman's glare. Wonder Woman's hand drifted from her sword, but not in relaxation. In the coiled readiness of a warrior accepting she might face an unkillable enemy. Superman's X-ray vision continued scanning, searching for anything that made sense in a universe where gods bled and heroes fell. You don't understand what you are, Superman said, voice carrying the weight of someone who'd wrestled with godhood daily. Power like yours, it changes you. In this world, we've seen what happens when someone becomes too strong, when they decide humanity needs saving from itself. Justice Protocol, Batman added coldly. We've prepared for scenarios where Superman goes rogue, where absolute power makes good men into tyrants. Your strength appears to have no ceiling, no check, no balance. That makes you potentially the most dangerous being we've ever encountered. Saitama's expression didn't change. Sounds exhausting. Being a tyrant, I mean. Too much work. I barely want to do hero work as it is. That's not reassuring, Wonder Woman said, drawing herself to full height. A warrior without discipline. Power without purpose. I have purpose, Saitama interrupted quietly. I'm a hero for fun. If I see someone who needs help, I help. If there's a bad guy, I stop them. Simple. He looked at each of them in turn with eyes that held exhaustion deeper than physical tiredness. Problem is, I'm too strong now. Nothing challenges me. Everything ends in one punch. Gets boring. The admission hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Superman felt ice in his Kryptonian blood. He'd feared many things: kryptonite, magic, losing Lois, becoming the very tyrant Batman prepared to kill. But he'd never feared boredom, the existential horror of being so powerful that existence itself lost meaning, that heroism became routine, that saving lives felt as mundane as breathing. "That boredom makes you dangerous," Batman stated. "Someone looking for a challenge might create one, might escalate situations hoping for worthy opponents, might—" "Nah," Saitama waved dismissively. "That's stupid villain logic. If I wanted a challenge, I wouldn't create disasters that hurt people. I'd just keep looking for something actually strong." His eyes focused on Superman with sudden intensity. "You're pretty tough, right? You look tough. Want to spar?" Before Superman could respond, alarms screamed throughout the Watchtower. Red emergency lights bathed everything in crimson urgency. Cyborg's hologram flickered with incoming data streams. "Darkseid," Cyborg announced, voice tight. "Boom tube signatures detected over Metropolis. Multiple boom tubes. He's bringing an army." Metropolis combusted under midday solar radiation. Boom tubes ripped existence like infected lacerations, expelling parademons by the hundreds into Earth's atmospheric layer. The winged abominations shrieked with vocalizations that had previously been people, casualties of Darkseid's conquest transformed into mindless combatants. They plummeted on the municipality in swarms, laser armaments carving molten scars across tower structures. Superman struck the pandemonium first, a crimson and azure meteorite clearing parademons with each supersonic transit. Wonder Woman pursued, lasso singing as it whipped through extraterrestrial tissue, her battle cry reverberating off architectural structures. The Flash became a scarlet cyclone, evacuating civilians faster than panic could propagate. Batman's Batwing strafed from overhead, precision bombardments eliminating parademon clusters. Saitama teleported down with Cyborg, materializing in the center of Main Street. The cement beneath his feet fractured from simple landing collision impact. He surveyed the devastation with identical energy someone might employ to notice precipitation. "So these are the bad guys?" he inquired, observing a parademon swooping toward a screaming family unit. "Stay back!" Cyborg's sonic weapon charged with incandescent energy. "These things are..." Saitama was already in motion. Not flash-fast with electrical trails and speed-force resonance. Just gone. And then present there. One moment stationary, subsequent moment. His fist was buried in the parademon's thorax. The creature detonated into biological confetti. The percussion wave from the strike fractured every window on the city block, and transmitted a dozen other parademons tumbling through atmosphere like foliage. "Dangerous," Cyborg concluded weakly. Additional parademons swarmed. 50, 100. They descended on Saitama with laser discharge and talons designed to rend through metallic compounds. He stood in the epicenter of the swarm, expression bored, and commenced swatting. Each casual backhand transformed parademons into crimson vapor. Each lazy punch transmitted percussion waves rippling through the formation. Within 30 seconds, the avenue was vacant except for Saitama standing in a circumference of alien viscera. Weak, he muttered, disappointed. Superman touched down beside him, cape settling. He'd been clearing the eastern sector when his super hearing caught the distinctive acoustics of parademons dying en masse. Now he observed Saitama flick blood off his glove with the casual disgust of someone who'd stepped in something unpleasant. "You just killed over 100 parademons in seconds," Superman stated, voice carrying undertones Clark Kent would never employ. Shock, concern, and reluctant awe. Without breaking a sweat, they're supposed to be tough. Saitama looked genuinely confused. Before Superman could formulate a response, the largest boom tube yet tore open above Metropolis. The portal vomited darkness and thermal energy, existence screaming as something massive forced passage through dimensional barriers. Darkseid emerged, riding a platform of new god machinery. His grey stone epidermis carved with the chronicle of conquered civilizations. Optical organs that radiated with the Omega effect surveyed his new acquisition. He was 9 feet of divine tyranny, each movement radiating the absolute certainty of a deity who'd never experienced defeat. Behind him floated Kalibak, his brutish offspring carrying a beta club that had crushed Superman's skeletal structure on 3 separate occasions. Granny Goodness rode a hover platform, her matronly appearance masking sadistic cruelty refined over millennia. Desard hovered nearby, already calculating torture methodologies for the new arrivals. The Justice League assembled on ground level. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, Cyborg forming a defensive configuration. Martian Manhunter phased into visibility beside them, telepathic power radiating caution. Green Lantern Hal. Jordan streamed down from orbital position, ring blazing emerald defiance. Darkseid's gaze swept over them with the disinterest of an agriculturalist counting familiar livestock. Then his optical organs discovered Saitama, the Lord of Apokolips stilled. Those Omega burning eyes constricted with something approaching curiosity. "You," Darkseid's vocalization rolled across Metropolis like grinding tectonic plates, "are the anomaly, the breach that split dimensions." He descended slowly, savoring the moment. "I felt your arrival from Apokolips. Power without signature, strength without source. You are either the solution to the anti-life equation or its antithesis." "Don't know what that means," Saitama stated, looking upward at the descending deity. "But you look tougher than those bug things." "Good." Superman tensed. "Saitama, Darkseid isn't..." Darkseid's Omega beams lanced from his optical organs, twin streams of pure annihilation, energy that could erase entities from existence, that bent reality to chase targets through dimensions. They curved through atmosphere with malevolent intelligence, homing on Saitama with eraser velocity. The beams struck him square in the thorax. Crimson illumination consumed everything. When the glare faded, Saitama stood exactly where he'd been. Costume slightly scorched, expression mildly annoyed, smoke curled from his hero suit. "Hey," he stated flatly, "this outfit's hard to replace." The silence that pursued felt heavier than Neutron's stellar bodies. Darkseid's optical organs widened fractionally. The first time in documented chronicle, the tyrant deity had shown genuine surprise. Superman's jaw dropped behind his stoic expression. Wonder Woman's warrior instinct screamed at her to run, fight, do something other than stand frozen observing the impossible. Batman's intellect raced through contingencies, discovering none. The Omega effect was absolute. It erased entities from existence, rewrote their history, condemned them to eternal death loops. Superman had died to it. Wonder Woman had barely survived. Batman had contingencies for contingencies to avoid it. This follicularly challenged man in a citrine suit had tanked it face first and complained about dry cleaning. Impossible. Darkseid's vocalization carried undertones of something he'd never experienced. Uncertainty. The Omega effect is absolute. You should not exist. Yeah, people tell me that a lot. Saitama cracked his neck vertebrae. So, are you actually strong, or was that your best shot? Kalibak roared with volcanic rage, unable to process the disrespect. He leaped from his father's platform, Beta Club raised high, muscle-bound frame descending like an avalanche. The weapon hummed with sufficient kinetic energy to fragment mountains. Saitama caught the club one-handed, his digits wrapped around the new god artifact like he was grasping a baseball bat from a child. Kalibak pulled. Veins bulging, divine strength straining. The club didn't budge. Saitama's arm didn't tremble. "This supposed to be heavy?" Saitama inquired. He yanked. Kalibak flew forward, still gripping his weapon. Saitama's other hand came up in a casual uppercut. His fist connected with Kalibak's jaw with the acoustics of a bomb detonating. Darkseid's sun rocketed skyward, breaking the sound barrier, disappearing into low orbit as a shrinking dot. The Flash's nervous laughter filled the stunned silence. Did he just one-punch Kalibak into space? Consecutive normal punches would have been overkill, Saitama stated, handing the Beta Club to a shocked Green Lantern. "Seemed like a nice weapon. You guys want it?" Darkseid's expression shifted into something terrible. The look of a tyrant who'd finally found prey worthy of hunting. His mouth curved into a smile that had preceded the death of civilizations. "At last," he breathed, "something interesting." The Lord of Apokolips descended to street level, boots cracking pavement. Up close, his presence radiated the weight of thousands of conquered worlds, billions of enslaved souls, the accumulated darkness of entropy given divine form. He stood eye level with Saitama, two beings of immeasurable power facing each other across 6 feet of devastated Metropolis concrete. "I am Darkseid," he pronounced, each word carrying religious authority. "Lord of Apokolips, conqueror of 10,000 worlds, seeker of the anti-life equation. I have fought gods and made them kneel. I have battled the source itself and endured." "Okay," Saitama said. "You will serve me," Darkseid continued, "or I will break you until you comprehend the meaning of suffering." "Probably not," Saitama replied. "Sounds boring." Darkseid's fist came up wreathed in Omega energy, moving with speed that made Superman look slow. The punch carried enough force to split continents, augmented by new god might and anti-life certainty. It hit Saitama's face with the sound of reality screaming. Saitama's head moved approximately 1 inch. He looked back at Darkseid with eyes that held no fear, no respect, and worst of all, no interest, just mild disappointment. "My turn?" Saitama asked politely. His fist moved, not particularly fast by his standards. Not a serious punch or even a consecutive normal puncher's technique. Just a regular punch, the kind he'd throw at a standard monster. Darkseid crossed his arms in guard position, stone skin hardening, Omega power reinforcing his divine form. The punch connected. The shockwave flattened every building in a 3-block radius. Darkseid flew backward through 17 buildings. Stone, steel, and glass exploded around him as his body carved a tunnel of destruction through Metropolis's skyline. He hit the ground 3 miles away, skidding across asphalt and tearing a canyon through the city streets, before finally stopping at the base of LexCorp Tower. The tyrant god rose slowly, deliberately. His crossed arms bore cracks, actual fractures in skin that had endured supernovas. Purple blood leaked from his mouth, the first time he'd bled on Earth in recorded history. Around him, Metropolis held its breath. Phones recorded everything. The world watched a god learn vulnerability. Darkseid's smile widened into something genuinely pleased. "Yes," he breathed, Omega energy crackling around his fists. "You are worthy." He launched himself back toward Saitama, moving faster than Superman had ever seen him move. The new god's fists became a blur of Omega-enhanced strikes, each one capable of shattering planets. Saitama stood still, head moving slightly to dodge punches with minimal effort, expression still bored. "You're fast," Saitama observed, "but kind of predictable." He caught Darkseid's next punch casually. His other fist pistoned forward, normal punch, nothing special, and caught Darkseid in the stomach. The impact created a visible shockwave that rippled through the atmosphere, dispersing clouds in a perfect circle for miles. Darkseid coughed blood and doubled over. From LexCorp Tower's penthouse, Lex Luthor watched through reinforced windows, brandy forgotten in his hand. His genius mind catalogued impossibilities, a human, seemingly human, matching Darkseid blow for blow. No, not matching, dominating. The alien god from Apokolips, the being Luthor had schemed against for years, was being treated like a sparring dummy. "Mercy," Luthor said softly to his bodyguard, never taking eyes from the battle. "Activate Protocol Omega Red. I want full biological scans of that bald man, DNA, cellular structure, energy signature, everything." "Sir, our sensors can't penetrate whatever he is," Mercy replied, fingers flying across holographic displays. "He registers as completely baseline human on every scan. No metahuman markers, no alien DNA, no magical signature. But the kinetic force he's generating," she trailed off, staring at readings that violated physics. "It shouldn't be possible." "Nothing should be possible," Luthor murmured, mind already calculating. Superman was alien, predictable, vulnerable to kryptonite, bound by his Boy Scout morality. This new variable, this was something else entirely, something potentially useful. "Get me everything on his arrival," Luthor commanded. "I want to know where he came from, how he got here, and, most importantly," his eyes gleamed with dangerous intelligence, "how to control him." Back at Ground Zero, the Justice League watched in stunned formation as Saitama and Darkseid exchanged blows that rewrote the city's geography. Each impact sent shockwaves rippling across the eastern seaboard. Seismographs in Gotham registered earthquakes. In Metropolis, Superman coordinated evacuations while simultaneously trying to comprehend what he was witnessing. "His power output isn't decreasing," Cyborg reported, analyzing combat data in real time. "No fatigue, no energy depletion. It's like he's pulling force from nowhere, unlimited and unconditional." "That's not how physics works," the Flash said, but his voice carried doubt. Wonder Woman's eyes tracked every movement with warrior precision. "His technique is crude, no formal training, but his body moves with absolute efficiency. Every motion wastes nothing." She gripped her sword tighter. "He fights like someone who's transcended the need for technique entirely." Batman said nothing, but his cowled gaze never left Saitama. The detective in him was assembling a profile. Power without apparent limit, personality without ambition, strength without cruelty. Every dictator he'd fought, every tyrant he'd brought down had wanted something. Money, control, worship, revenge. This man wanted a sale on groceries and maybe, just maybe, a decent fight. That simplicity made him more dangerous than Darkseid's complexity. Darkseid unleashed his Omega beams again, twin streams of annihilation tracking Saitama from multiple angles. They curved through buildings, bent around obstacles, pursued with malevolent intelligence. Saitama dodged the first pair with a slight tilt of his head. The second pair he simply tanked, letting them splash across his chest while he closed distance. "Serious punch," Saitama said calmly. His fist moved with actual intent this time. The air ignited from friction. Reality bent around his knuckles like space curving near a black hole. When his fist connected with Darkseid's face, the sound wasn't an explosion. It was something more fundamental, like the universe gasping. Darkseid didn't fly backward this time. He cratered straight down, punched through street level, through subway tunnels, through bedrock, straight down into the Earth's mantle. The impact crater was a perfect circle 500 feet across. Lava began bubbling up from below. Saitama stood at the crater's edge, looking down into glowing darkness. Maybe that was too much. Seconds passed. 10, 20. The Justice League began to hope. Then Omega energy erupted from the crater like a volcanic column. Darkseid rose on a pillar of red light, his form more energy than matter now. Stone skin cracked with glowing fissures. He dropped all pretense of restraint. This was Darkseid at full power, the avatar of tyranny unleashed. "You have earned my respect," Darkseid's voice boomed across Metropolis, "and my wrath. I will break you. I will learn your secret, and I will use it to perfect the anti-life equation." His eyes blazed with Omega radiance. "You will kneel before Darkseid. All life kneels before Darkseid." "Yeah, no," Saitama said, "standing's fine." High above Metropolis, the Watchtower's sensors screamed warnings as Darkseid channeled power levels that threatened Earth's electromagnetic field. Green Lantern constructs formed city-wide barriers trying to contain collateral damage. Superman flew interference, catching buildings before they collapsed, moving so fast he was in 12 places simultaneously. But everyone knew the truth. They were spectators to something beyond Justice League pay grade. Darkseid abandoned physical strikes for pure Omega force. Reality itself became his weapon. Omega beams split into dozens of seeking tendrils, each one capable of erasing beings from existence. They wove through the air like crimson serpents, pursuing Saitama from every angle simultaneously. Saitama walked forward through the onslaught. Beams that erased matter splashed against his body like water against stone. His hero suit was getting seriously damaged now. Cape shredded, yellow fabric scorched black in places now. His expression shifted from bored to genuinely annoyed. "This outfit cost me 3 months' rent," he said flatly. He jumped, not flew. He didn't have flight, just jumped with enough force to crack the street beneath him and launch himself at Darkseid with ballistic velocity. His fist cocked back, body spinning for momentum. Consecutive normal punches. His arms became a blur, not flash fast, not speed force accelerated, just fast enough that dozens of punches landed before Darkseid could react. Each impact rang out like artillery fire. Darkseid's stone body cratered under the assault, divine form buckling. The Lord of Apokolips tried to raise his guard, tried to counter, tried to unleash Omega energy in point-blank devastation. Saitama punched through the Omega beams, punched through Darkseid's guard, punched through the tyrant god's legendary durability. His final punch caught Darkseid square in the chest and sent him rocketing skyward, breaking orbit, disappearing into the upper atmosphere as a shrinking ember. Saitama landed back on the street, checking his damaged suit with visible frustration. "Damn it! The yellow's all wrong now. Going to have to buy a new one." The Justice League descended around him in cautious formation. Superman touched down first, X-ray vision confirming Darkseid had left Earth's atmosphere entirely. Boom tubes opening near the moon, retreating to lick wounds no being had ever inflicted on him before. "You just made Darkseid retreat," Superman said, voice carrying a mix of awe and concern that Clark Kent would never show publicly. "In all our battles, across all our encounters, he's never retreated. Never." "He was tough," Saitama admitted, "but still went down pretty easy. Thought a god would be more impressive." Wonder Woman stepped forward, hands still on her sword hilt, but no longer gripping it for combat. "That was not easy. That was dominance. You treated the Lord of Apokolips like a training exercise." "Felt like one," Saitama said. "Same problem as always. I'm too strong. Even gods can't give me a real fight anymore." The existential despair in those words hit harder than any of his punches. Batman's analytical mind catalogued the threat profile. Ultimate power combined with chronic dissatisfaction. A being searching for meaning through combat, growing increasingly desperate for challenge. How long before that desperation drove him to create challenges, to escalate situations, to test his limits against Earth's heroes? Before Batman could voice his concerns, Lex Luthor's weapons platforms activated. Plasma beams, electromagnetic pulses, and concentrated kryptonite radiation lanced down from LexCorp facilities in synchronized strike pattern, all targeting Saitama. "Luthor!" Superman snarled, heat vision instantly tracking trajectories, preparing to intercept. The weapons hit Saitama simultaneously. Green radiation that would kill Superman in minutes. Plasma hot enough to melt titanium. Electromagnetic pulses that scrambled alien biology. The combined assault would have killed a platoon of Kryptonians. When the light faded, Saitama stood unchanged, except for more scorch marks on his suit. He looked up at LexCorp Tower with the expression of someone who'd been interrupted while trying to nap. "Who's shooting at me now?" he asked tiredly. From his tower, Lex Luthor stared at readouts that showed zero effect. His most powerful weapons, technologies that had hurt Superman, forced Darkseid to reconsider, made gods bleed, had accomplished nothing except cosmetic damage to yellow fabric. "Fascinating," Luthor whispered. His finger moved from the trigger to a different control. "Mercy. Initiate diplomatic protocol. I want a meeting with that man. Whatever he is, whatever made him, I need to understand it." "You want to recruit him?" Mercy asked incredulously. "I want to study him," Luthor corrected. "Superman is an alien with quantifiable powers and exploitable weaknesses. This is something new. Something that might finally tip the balance of power away from godlike aliens dictating humanity's future." His eyes gleamed with dangerous ambition. "If I can't control him, I'll befriend him. If I can't befriend him, I'll point him at my enemies. And if I can somehow, impossibly, replicate what made him..." He trailed off, imagination filling the gaps with visions of humanity, armed with limitless power, freed from dependence on alien saviors. Superman's super hearing caught every word. His jaw tightened with familiar frustration. Luthor already calculating how to weaponize Saitama. Already scheming to corrupt unlimited power for limited human ambition. Green Lantern's ring blazed with emerald light, constructs forming defensive barriers around the Justice League. "Luthor's going to be a problem. He sees Saitama as a weapon against you, Superman." "Luthor sees everything as a weapon," Batman said grimly. "But he's right to be concerned. Absolute power without accountability, strength without oversight." His eyes fixed on Saitama. "We've fought this battle before." Saitama, oblivious to the political maneuvering happening around him, was examining his shredded cape with genuine distress. This was custom-made. The guy who made it retired 3 years ago. Can't even get a replacement. The Flash vibrated nervously. "Dude, you just beat Darkseid and shrugged off Luthor's death beams. Why do you care about a cape?" "Because it was my cape," Saitama said simply. "I'm a hero. Heroes need capes. It's part of the thing." Wonder Woman's expression softened fractionally. Here was power that could break gods, wrapped in someone who cared about costume aesthetics and grocery sales. The cognitive dissonance was profound. Superman made a decision that would either save Earth or doom it. 3 days after punching Darkseid off Earth, Saitama discovered the Joy Buzzer diner in downtown Metropolis. It served breakfast all day, had cheap coffee, and nobody bothered him about saving the world. Perfect. He sat in a corner booth with scrambled eggs and toast, reading a newspaper someone had left behind, trying to understand this dimension's economy. Apparently, they didn't accept yen here. That complicated grocery shopping considerably. The bell above the door chimed. Saitama didn't look up. Didn't need to. He'd learned to recognize the sound of expensive shoes on linoleum. The kind of shoes that came with private security and over-inflated egos. Lex Luthor slid into the booth across from him, Mercy standing watchful at a distance. The billionaire wore a tailored suit that cost more than Saitama's entire apartment in his home dimension. His smile was calculated, warm without being genuine, the expression of a man who'd bought and sold cities. "Saitama," Luthor said, folding his hands on the table. "May I buy you breakfast? You've been eating here for 3 days straight. Surely a hero who saved Metropolis from Darkseid deserves better than a 2-star diner. It's cheap, and the eggs are decent," Saitama said without looking up from his newspaper. "What do you want?" Luthor's smile widened at the directness. "I like you already. No pretense, no false modesty, just honesty." He leaned forward conspiratorially. "I want to offer you a job. Well, more of a partnership. LexCorp has resources, technology, facilities that could make your life here considerably easier. In exchange, I'd occasionally need your unique talents for specific situations." "You want me to punch things for money," Saitama translated. "I want to compensate you fairly for services that benefit humanity," Luthor corrected smoothly. "Superman claims to help people, but he's an alien, an outsider imposing his values on our world. You're human. From what I understand, you achieved your power through discipline and training, the human drive to transcend limitation." His eyes gleamed with genuine enthusiasm. "You're proof that humanity doesn't need alien saviors. We can save ourselves." Saitama finally looked up, expression flat. "Superman seems fine. Saved a bunch of people while I was fighting the rock guy." "Superman is a false god," Luthor said, voice hardening. "He makes humanity dependent, weak. We worship him instead of reaching our own potential. But you show what humans can truly become if we push hard enough. I could help you fund research into your abilities, replicate the process, give humanity the power to stand on its own." Now, Saitama returned to his eggs. "Training's boring. Nobody wants to do it. That's why nobody else got this strong." Luthor's jaw tightened fractionally before his smile returned. "Then at least let me compensate you for the Darkseid incident. LexCorp would like to award you—" "Not interested." Saitama checked the newspaper sale ads. "You got any coupons for vegetables? That'd be helpful." The rejection hung in the air like a slap. Mercy's hand drifted toward her concealed weapon before Luthor raised one finger, signaling patience. The billionaire studied Saitama with renewed calculation. Not a potential asset then, a wild card. Wild cards had uses if properly motivated. "I understand," Luthor said, rising smoothly. "The offer stands whenever you change your mind. Oh, and one more thing." He placed a business card on the table. "If Superman or his Justice League ever try to control you, dictate how you use your power, treat you like a weapon instead of a person, call me. I protect humanity from aliens who think they know best." He left before Saitama could respond. The hero pocketed the card without reading it, more interested in the ad for half-price cabbage at Park Row Grocers. Park Row. The paper said that was in Gotham. He'd need to figure out how to get there. The diner's bell chimed again. This time the footsteps were lighter, purposeful, accompanied by the subtle creak of leather and tactical fabric. Saitama sighed internally. More visitors. He just wanted to finish breakfast. Batman sat down where Luthor had been, cowl casting shadows that seemed darker than physics allowed. He didn't speak immediately, just watched Saitama with detective's intensity, reading every micro-expression, every casual gesture, building a profile. "You turned down Luthor," Batman finally said. "Smart." "He seemed pushy," Saitama replied, chewing toast. "He's dangerous. Genius, intellect, unlimited resources, pathological need to prove humanity doesn't need alien protection. He'll use you against Superman if he can, or eliminate you if he can't." Batman's gravelly voice carried absolute certainty. "I've prepared contingencies to stop him 17 times. He's rebuilt 17 times. He never stops." Sounds exhausting. Saitama poured more coffee. "You here to recruit me too?" "No." Batman pulled a small device from his belt, setting it on the table between them. A holographic display activated, showing combat footage from the Darkseid fight, analyzed frame by frame. "I'm here to understand you. Your power violates every law of physics, biology, and metaphysics I know. You claim you achieved it through exercise. The lasso of truth confirmed you believe that, but belief doesn't make it true." "It's true," Saitama said simply. "Then you fundamentally altered reality through willpower and determination alone," Batman countered. "That makes you either the most dangerous metahuman on Earth, or proof that our understanding of universal constants is wrong." He leaned forward, cowled face inches from Saitama. "Which means I need to know, when you get bored enough, when the lack of challenge becomes unbearable, will you create challenges? Will you become what you fought?" The question landed with weight. Saitama's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, maybe. Understanding that someone finally grasped his central problem. "No," he said quietly. "That would be stupid. Evil. I'm not evil." "Not yet," Batman agreed. "But I've seen good men break, seen heroes become villains, seen power corrupt people who swore it wouldn't. In another timeline, Superman became a tyrant because he lost someone. One bad day. That's all it takes. Not my problem." Saitama finished his coffee. I don't care about ruling things. Too much work. Boredom is insidious, Batman pressed. It whispers, suggests, makes you question your limits. Eventually, you'll wonder, could I conquer Earth if I wanted? Could I make villains extinct? Could I reshape society? And wondering becomes planning, becomes action. Saitama was quiet for a moment, digesting the warning. Finally, he spoke with the tired wisdom of someone who'd wrestled these questions already. I've been this strong for years, beaten everything. Could have taken over my world any time. Didn't. He paused. Know why? His eyes met Batman's lenses. Because being a hero for fun means I get to choose who I save and when I fight. Ruling things means responsibility, expectations, people depending on me for everything. That sounds horrible. Batman studied him in silence, detective's mind cataloging verbal patterns, body language, micro-expressions, searching for deception and finding none. Just exhausted honesty from someone who transcended mortal limits, only to discover that godhood was boring. I believe you, Batman finally said, surprising himself. But I'm still creating contingencies. If you ever change, if that boredom ever wins, I'll stop you. I stop everyone eventually. Fair enough. Saitama didn't sound offended. How would you stop me? Kind of curious. Batman's mouth twitched into something almost resembling a smile. If I told you, it wouldn't work. Gotham City wore its darkness like a second skin. Where Metropolis gleamed with hope and steel, Gotham festered with corruption and shadow. Rain fell in perpetual drizzle, washing nothing clean, only spreading the city's rot more evenly across cracked pavement. Saitama stepped off the bus into Crime Alley, just as twilight surrendered to true night. Park Row grocers sat wedged between a pawn shop with bars on the windows and an abandoned theater where something had died years ago. The neon sign flickered. Ark Row Grocer. Because the P had burned out, and nobody cared enough to fix it. Through grimy windows, Saitama could see the produce section. Cabbage, half price, beautiful. He'd taken 3 steps toward the entrance when 6 figures melted from the alley shadows. Street-level thugs wearing colors that identified them as belonging to one of Gotham's countless gangs. Knives, brass knuckles, one gun that looked older than its wielder. They moved with the casual confidence of predators who'd done this dance 1,000 times. Wallet and phone, the leader said, gun pointed at Saitama's chest with lazy certainty of someone who'd never been told no. Nice and easy, Baldy. This is our corner. Saitama looked at them with the same expression he'd used for mild inconvenience, like stepping in a puddle. I just want to buy cabbage. Yeah, everyone's got somewhere to be. The leader cocked his gun. Wallet, now. I don't have a wallet. Saitama walked past them toward the store. Excuse me? The gunshot cracked through Crime Alley's ambient sirens and distant screams. The bullet hit Saitama between the shoulder blades, flattened against invulnerable skin, and dropped to wet pavement with a metallic tink. Saitama stopped walking. Not from pain, he barely felt it, but from annoyance. His hero suit had another hole now. The costume was becoming more whole than fabric. He turned around slowly. The muggers stared at the flattened bullet, then at Saitama, then at each other. The gun shook in the leader's hand. "What the hell?" Saitama flicked his finger. The leader flew backward through the air, over the street, through the pawn shop's barred window, and came to rest unconscious in a pile of stolen electronics. The other 5 muggers processed this impossibility for exactly 1 second before running in 5 different directions. Saitama let them go. Not his problem. He had cabbage to buy. Inside Park Row Grocers, the cashier, an elderly woman who'd worked this corner for 40 years and seen everything, barely glanced up as Saitama approached with a shopping basket full of discounted vegetables. She rang him up with the efficiency of someone who'd learned not to ask questions in Gotham. "That'll be $15, hun." Saitama pulled out the money Superman had provided. The cashier counted it, bagged his groceries in plastic that had been reused enough times to qualify as vintage, and handed him his change. Transaction complete. Simple. Perfect. He was halfway to the bus stop when the screaming started. Not normal Gotham screaming. The background noise of muggings and domestic violence that provided the city's ambient soundtrack. This was different. Primal. The kind of screaming that happened when something worse than human cruelty walked the streets. Saitama paused, cabbage in hand, debating. Not his city, not his responsibility. He'd come for groceries, not hero work. But the screaming continued, getting closer, accompanied now by inhuman roaring that made the rain vibrate. He sighed, set his groceries down carefully against a wall where they'd stay dryish, and walked toward the noise. 2 blocks into Crime Alley's heart, he found the source. The creature stood 12 feet tall, muscles bulging with grotesque biology, bone protrusions jutting from grey skin like weaponized tumors. Its face was a nightmare of rage and hunger, eyes glowing with predatory intelligence. It held a car over its head, occupied car, family inside screaming, and was preparing to hurl it through a residential building. Doomsday. Batman's files had mentioned this thing, the monster that killed Superman. Genetically engineered in prehistoric Krypton, evolved through countless deaths to become unkillable, unstoppable, perpetually adapting. It had broken free from Apokolips' containment during Darkseid's absence, found a boom tube, and emerged in Gotham looking for the Kryptonian who'd killed it before. It found Saitama instead. The monster's eyes locked onto him with predatory focus. Some instinct, some evolutionary imperative recognized challenge, threat, prey worth hunting. Doomsday dropped the car, family scrambling out, running, and charged. Saitama stood still, watching the creature close distance with ground-shaking momentum. At the last second, he raised one fist and threw a normal punch. His fist met Doomsday's face with the sound of tectonic plates colliding. The monster stopped dead, momentum completely negated. For one frozen moment, unstoppable force met immovable object. Then Doomsday flew backward, tumbling through 3 buildings, leaving a tunnel of destruction before finally stopping 6 blocks away. Saitama flexed his fingers, checking for damage. Nothing. Same as always. He started walking toward where Doomsday had landed, cape fluttering in the rain. The monster rose from rubble, bone protrusions already thickening, muscle mass expanding. That was Doomsday's gift. Every attack that didn't kill him made him stronger, made him adapt. The creature roared again, louder now, and charged with increased speed and ferocity. Saitama punched it again, harder this time. Doomsday cratered into the street, pavement exploding outward in a perfect circle. The monster rose faster, wounds already healing, bone spikes growing longer and sharper. Oh! Saitama's eyes widened slightly with something approaching interest. You get tougher when I hit you. He punched Doomsday again, and again. Each impact sent shockwaves through Gotham's decaying infrastructure. Each time, the monster rose slightly faster, hit slightly harder, adapted incrementally to counter Saitama's overwhelming force. For the first time since arriving in this dimension, Saitama felt the faintest ghost of excitement. High above, Batman watched from a rooftop, Cowl's lenses recording everything. His gauntlet computer was already calculating disaster scenarios. Doomsday fighting someone who made it adapt infinitely faster. Every punch from Saitama forced evolution that would have taken weeks of normal combat to achieve. In theory, if this continued, Doomsday could eventually adapt enough to survive even Saitama's strikes. In practice, Batman watched Saitama grab Doomsday by one bone protrusion and throw the creature into low orbit with casual strength. The monster became a shrinking dot against Gotham's polluted clouds. "Alfred," Batman spoke into his cowl. "Track that trajectory. Doomsday's leaving atmosphere." "Shall I alert the Justice League, Master Bruce?" Alfred's refined voice carried dry concern. "Already done. Superman's intercepting." Batman's eyes stayed locked on Saitama, who was walking back toward his groceries with the satisfied expression of someone who'd completed a mildly interesting task. "But Alfred, update Saitama's threat assessment. He just used Doomsday as a stress ball, and the creature barely slowed him down. If he ever turns hostile, we'd best hope the contingencies work, sir." Alfred finished grimly. Batman said nothing. His contingencies worked through exploiting weaknesses, psychological pressure, environmental manipulation, strategic advantage. But what contingency existed for someone with no weaknesses? No pressure points? No environmental vulnerabilities? The Dark Knight watched Saitama retrieve his groceries and continue toward the bus stop, as if he'd done nothing more remarkable than help an old lady cross the street. Around them, Gotham burned with normal Gotham chaos, sirens, distant gunfire, the ambient suffering that gave the city its character. And then, the sky tore open. Not a boom tube this time, something worse. A rift in reality itself, bleeding darkness and cosmic horror. Through it descended a figure wrapped in bat-shaped shadows, wearing a costume that was Batman's cowl twisted into nightmare, with a grin that belonged on the Joker's face. The Batman who laughs stepped onto Gotham streets, visor scanning with corrupted genius, chains rattling from his belt where dark Robins, twisted child versions of himself, squirmed and giggled. Behind him, the dark multiverse bled into prime Earth, reality straining under the weight of impossible existence. Oh, the Batman who laughs purred with Bruce Wayne's voice filtered through Joker toxin and divine insanity. What's this? A new player on the board. How delightfully unexpected. Batman, the real Batman, felt ice crystallize in his veins. The Batman who laughs was him from a dark multiverse timeline where Joker's final joke had succeeded. Batman killed Hunt, the clown prince of crime, was infected with concentrated Joker toxin and became something worse than either. He had Batman's strategic genius combined with Joker's creative sadism. He'd nearly destroyed the multiverse during the metal invasion. He'd been stopped, killed, supposedly. Apparently, death was negotiable in the dark multiverse. "Master Bruce!" Alfred's voice crackled over comms. Scanners detect dark multiverse energy. He's brought reinforcements. More rifts tore open. Through them stepped nightmares wearing familiar faces. The Red Death. Flash's speed merged with Batman's brutality. The murder machine. Batman as genocidal AI after Alfred's death. The Drowned. Bruce Wayne as female Aquaman from a sunken Earth. The Devastator. Batman infected with Doomsday virus, all rage and adaptation. The Merciless. Batman wearing Ares' War God armor after killing Wonder Woman. The Dawnbreaker. Bruce Wayne with corrupted Green Lantern ring that ran on fear instead of will. 7 nightmare Batmen from 7 dead realities. Each one representing Bruce Wayne choosing power over principle. They surrounded Saitama in formation, blocking every exit, radiating dark matter and malevolent intent. Saitama, holding his groceries, looked at the Dark Knights with growing annoyance. "I just wanted cabbage." The Batman who laughs giggled with genuine delight. "How perfectly absurd. Barbatos sent us to investigate the reality breach, expecting Superman or perhaps Darkseid playing dimensional chess. Instead, we find..." He leaned closer, visor analyzing Saitama with corrupted genius. Nothing. No energy signature. No dark multiverse corruption. No connection to crisis narratives. You're not supposed to exist within narrative structure at all, are you? "Don't know what that means," Saitama said. "Move. My cabbage is getting warm." The Batman who laughs. His grin somehow widened behind his visor. He doesn't understand. Even better. A narrative anomaly with no comprehension of narrative law. He spun to address his Dark Knights. "Gentlemen, gentlewoman, we're looking at living proof that story structure can break. Imagine what Barbatos could do with that. Imagine what we could do with that." The Devastator snarled with Doomsday's voice filtered through Batman's tactical mind. "Talking wastes time. I'll tear him apart and take what made him." The brutish Dark Knight, charged with Doomsday's adaptive evolution and Batman's strategic targeting. His fist, designed to counter Kryptonian invulnerability, screamed towards Saitama with enough force to split tectonic plates. Saitama set his groceries down carefully, making sure the bag wouldn't tip over. Then he caught Devastator's fist one-handed. The impact shockwave shattered every window in 3 blocks. Gotham's ambient rain turned to mist from the pressure wave. "You guys are annoying," Saitama said flatly. He pulled Devastator forward and headbutted him. The Dark Knight's skull, reinforced with Doomsday biology, designed to adapt to any assault, cracked like an eggshell. Devastator flew backward through the rift he'd emerged from, unconscious before he hit dark multiverse pavement. The remaining Dark Knights processed this impossibility with varying levels of horrified comprehension. The Red Death moved first, Speed Force and Batman genius combining into tactical acceleration. He vibrated into flash time, moving so fast that normal reality seemed frozen. In this accelerated state, he had hours to analyze Saitama, find weaknesses, exploit vulnerabilities. Except Saitama's head turned, tracking the Red Death's movement in flash time. Impossibly, he watched the speedster move through frozen time. "That's a neat trick," Saitama observed at normal conversational speed that shouldn't be audible in flash time. "But you're broadcasting where you're going to hit. Too obvious." The Red Death, moving at speeds that made Superman look stationary, threw a punch enhanced with Speed Force momentum. Saitama moved his head fractionally. The punch missed by millimeters. The Red Death's momentum carried him past. Saitama's casual backhand caught him mid-vibration, sent him tumbling out of flash time, and deposited him unconscious against a Gotham dumpster. The Merciless raised Ares' War God helmet, divine armor amplifying Batman's already legendary combat prowess. "I've killed Wonder Woman. I've absorbed the God of War's essence. Your strength means nothing against divinity." He brought down his sword, forged in Hephaestion fire, baptized in Amazon blood, with technique that combined Batman's mastery with divine warfare perfected over millennia. The blade, capable of cutting atoms, designed to kill gods, descended towards Saitama's neck. Saitama caught it between two fingers. The divine metals screamed, physics protesting. The Merciless pulled with war god strength. The blade didn't move. "Swords don't really work on me," Saitama said apologetically. He flicked the blade. It shattered into glowing fragments. The Merciless stared at his broken weapon for one shocked second before Saitama's fist introduced his face to pavement at velocities sufficient to create a new crater in Crime Alley's collection. 3 Dark Knights down. 4 to go. The murder machine didn't charge. Its corrupted AI brain calculated odds, ran probability matrices, analyzed combat data. Batman's strategic genius, unshackled from morality and emotion, recognized a no-win scenario when it saw one. "Tactical retreat recommended," it stated in flat mechanical tones, already opening escape boom tubes. "Coward," the drowned hissed, voice carrying oceanic depths and feminine fury. She raised Aquaman's trident, corrupted, barnacle-encrusted, dripping with water from dead oceans. "I've drowned planets, pulled continents beneath waves. Let's see him breathe water." Dark matter water erupted from nowhere, defying Gotham's concrete landscape. It rushed towards Saitama in tsunami force, water that drowned universes, corrupted oceans given physical form. The wave crashed over him, filling his lungs, forcing its way into his body through every orifice. Saitama stood in the water, looking mildly inconvenienced. Then he inhaled sharply. The entire tsunami, billions of gallons of dark multiverse corruption, got sucked into his lungs. He held it there for a moment, expression showing mild distaste. Then he exhaled. The water shot back out with gale force, hit the drowned with her own attack, amplified by Saitama's impossible lung capacity, and sent her tumbling back through her own portal, unconscious and waterlogged. The Dawnbreaker raised his corrupted Green Lantern ring, running on fear instead of will, powered by murdered guardians instead of universal hope. His construct, a massive bat-shaped weapon of solidified terror, materialized overhead, blotting out Gotham's rain-choked sky. "I remake reality itself," Dawnbreaker announced with religious fervor of someone who'd murdered his way to godhood. "Your existence ends because I will it." The construct descended with the weight of weaponized fear, powered by a ring that had killed its own universe's Justice League. It hit Saitama with force sufficient to crack planetary crusts. Saitama punched upward. The construct shattered like glass. Green fear light exploded outward in a nova that illuminated all of Gotham for 3 seconds, bathing Crime Alley in emerald radiance. When the light faded, Dawnbreaker was down, ring smoking and cracked, unconscious like his siblings. 5 Dark Knights eliminated. 2 remained. The Batman who laughs giggled harder now, genuine entertainment replacing tactical assessment. "Magnificent. You're not part of the narrative at all, are you? No journey, no growth, no struggle. Just strength without story. That's why you're bored. You exist outside the structure that gives existence meaning." The murder machine had finished calculating retreat vectors and was backing toward an escape portal. The Batman who laughs grabbed it by the neck, corrupted genius overriding mechanical logic. "No running," he purred. "This is too delicious. We're witnessing narrative collapse, the story falling apart because he refuses to have a story." He shoved the murder machine toward Saitama. "Go on. Try your technological superiority. Show him your arsenal of death." The murder machine, trapped between escape and orders, chose efficiency. Every weapon Batman had ever designed, every contingency for every hero, every tactical advantage compressed into AI-driven combat. Missiles, lasers, sonic attacks, nerve agents, EMP bursts, nanomachines, and exotic weapons that exploited dimensional weaknesses. Everything launched simultaneously at Saitama. The explosions consumed 3 city blocks. Fire, smoke, and exotic energy filled the air. When it cleared, Saitama stood in a perfect circle of undamaged pavement, groceries untouched beside him, costumes singed but body unmarked. "That was loud," he complained. "People are trying to sleep." He walked through the dissipating smoke and tapped the murder machine's chest. Just tapped. The AI collapsed, central processing unit unable to compute the kinetic force that shouldn't exist, shutting down in self-protective defeat. 6 down, 1 to go. The Batman who laughs stood alone now, chains rattling, dark robins giggling from his belt. His grin never faltered. If anything, it widened with genuine appreciation. "You beat all my dark nights," he said conversationally. "They were nightmares that ended universes. You swatted them like insects." He tilted his head, visor analyzing. "You know what that means?" "That I can get my cabbage now?" Saitama asked hopefully. "It means you're exactly what Barbatos needs." The Batman who laughs spread his arms wide, embracing cosmic horror. A being that breaks narrative structure, power without story. If we can understand what made you, replicate it, weaponize it. The dark multiverse could invade prime reality without story logic stopping us. No heroes rising to meet the challenge because challenge has no meaning. No last-minute saves because drama has no power. Just infinite strength applied to infinite conquest. "That sounds stupid," Saitama said. "Also evil. Are you a villain? You seem like a villain." "I'm Batman." The Batman who laughs shrieked with Joker's laughter and Bruce Wayne's pain. "I'm what he becomes when he finally admits the truth, that Gotham can't be saved, that hope is delusion, that the only answer to chaos is greater chaos." He raised his hand and reality bled around him. "Now be a good anomaly and let Barbatos examine you. We'll take you apart, cell by cell, thought by thought, until we understand what lets you break every rule." Dark matter chains, the same ones that bound his dark robins, shot toward Saitama from every angle. They wrapped around his arms, legs, torso, neck. Chains forged in the dark multiverse, designed to bind the unkillable, to restrain the unstoppable, to imprison narrative threats until story logic could be reasserted. Saitama flexed. The chains shattered like spider silk. "No," he said simply. He walked toward the Batman who laughs. Not fast, not menacingly, just walking with the energy of someone finishing an annoying errand. The Dark Knight giggled harder, backing away now, reaching for contingencies that suddenly seemed inadequate. "Wait, we could work together. I could give you challenges, real challenges. I know where Darkseid hides, where Barbatos sleeps, where the darkest night schemes. I could point you at enemies worth fighting. Isn't that what you want?" Saitama paused, considering. "You'd just use me to hurt people." "Of course. That's the point. That's what power is for." "Nah." Saitama's fist cocked back. Not a serious punch. Not even particularly motivated. Just a normal punch to end an annoying conversation. "You're just another bad guy." The punch connected. The Batman who laughs flew backward through the rift he'd emerged from, tumbling through dark multiverse corridors, hitting dark matter so hard that the rift itself destabilized. Reality screamed as the breach began collapsing. Dark multiverse energy retracting like a wounded limb. Within seconds, the rift sealed. The Dark Knights vanished back into nightmare dimensions. Gotham's reign returned to normal, washing away the last traces of dark matter corruption. Saitama picked up his groceries, checked his cabbage for damage. Still good. He headed toward the bus stop. Behind him, Batman descended from the rooftops. For a long moment, the Dark Knight just stood there, processing what he'd witnessed. 7 Dark Knights, each one powerful enough to threaten reality, defeated in minutes by someone buying vegetables. "You saved Gotham," Batman said quietly. "I saved my cabbage," Saitama corrected. "They were in the way." The Batman who laughs was right about one thing. Batman's voice carried reluctant admission. You exist outside normal parameters. No journey, no growth arc, no narrative structure. In a universe where story logic shapes reality, you're an anomaly. That makes you either our salvation or our extinction event. Sounds dramatic. Saitama waited at the bus stop, checking the schedule. "I just want to go home, cook dinner, and maybe watch TV. You have TV here, right?" "We have TV," Batman confirmed. He pulled a small card from his utility belt, extended it. "That's a secure line to the Watchtower. If you need help adjusting to this world, resources, information, anything, the Justice League offers assistance. No strings attached." Saitama took the card, pocketed it without reading. "Thanks. Your city's pretty rough, by the way. Might want to clean it up." Batman's jaw tightened imperceptibly. "I've been trying for 20 years. Have you tried punching the bad guys harder?" Saitama asked with complete sincerity. Before Batman could formulate a response about systemic corruption, criminal psychology, and why simply punching harder wasn't a sustainable law enforcement strategy, the bus arrived. Saitama boarded, paid his fare, and took a seat near the back. Batman watched the bus pull away into Gotham's endless rain, carrying the most dangerous being on Earth to cook cabbage and watch television. In the Batcave, Alfred's voice crackled over comms. "The Dark Knight incursion is confirmed contained, Master Bruce. Superman reports Doomsday recaptured and returned to stasis. Flash has evacuated Crime Alley casualties. Wonder Woman is coordinating structural repairs." A pause. "Shall I put the kettle on, sir? You sound like you could use tea." "I need contingencies," Batman replied. Heading toward the Batmobile. 7 nightmare versions of me couldn't scratch him. Doomsday was a distraction. Darkseid lost in direct combat. If Saitama ever becomes a threat, he won't, Alfred interrupted gently. "Master Bruce, in all your years fighting evil, has your greatest fear not been that power inevitably corrupts? That absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's a statistical certainty." "Then perhaps," Alfred suggested with the wisdom of someone who'd raised Bruce Wayne from tragedy into heroism, "it's time to acknowledge the exception. The man who broke every rule by following the simplest one. Be a hero for fun. Not glory, not duty, not trauma. Just simple, uncomplicated heroism." Batman said nothing. His mind continued compiling contingencies because that was what Batman did. But somewhere in the analytical darkness, Bruce Wayne wondered if Alfred was right. If, maybe, impossibly, someone with infinite power could remain fundamentally good, simply because being evil seemed like too much work. 3 weeks after punching the Batman who laughs back to the dark multiverse, Saitama had settled into a routine. Mornings. Basic training out of habit, even though he didn't need it. Afternoons. Watching Earth's surprisingly entertaining television shows. Evenings. Occasionally helping with disasters when they happened nearby, mostly because it was convenient. He'd rented a small apartment in Metropolis, using funds the Wayne Foundation kept anonymously depositing into an account Superman had set up. The place was cheap, one bedroom, leaky faucet, but the building had a good landlady who didn't ask questions about the crater marks on his costume or why he never seemed to get hurt. Perfect. His phone buzzed. The secure line Batman had given him. He checked it, Flash sending a message in the Justice League group chat. Movie night at Watchtower on Friday. Bring snacks. You're invited, new guy. Other messages followed in rapid succession. Superman. We're watching The Adventures of Robin Hood. Classic. You'll like it. Wonder Woman. Bring combat spirit. Flash cheats at movie trivia. Batman. Don't bring anything from Park Row grocers. Food safety standards are questionable. Cyborg. Ignore Batman. Bring whatever you want. Green Lantern. Is the new guy actually coming? I still can't believe he one-punched Darkseid. Saitama stared at the messages, processing the casual invitation to superhero movie night. These were gods and legends treating him like a normal teammate, like someone who belonged. He typed slowly, unused to the technology. Okay. What are snacks? The group chat exploded with responses explaining Earth snack culture, arguing about proper movie night food, Flash sending 17 emoji responses before anyone could stop him. Saitama turned off the communicator, returning to his show. But something had shifted. The apartment felt less empty, the evening less meaningless. He was still bored. Nothing on earth could give him a real fight. Nothing could make him feel that rush of legitimate challenge. But maybe being a hero wasn't about the fight. Maybe it was about the moments between fights. The quiet Tuesdays, the bad soup, the self-repairing capes from paranoid detectives who cared despite themselves. The movie nights with gods who wanted to share popcorn and argue about trivia. He'd spent years searching for a worthy opponent, someone who could make him feel alive through combat. Maybe he'd been searching in the wrong place. Maybe feeling alive wasn't about the fight. It was about having someone to eat bad soup with afterward. Outside his window, Metropolis sparkled with evening lights. Somewhere in that city, Superman was probably doing paperwork at the Daily Planet, balancing godhood with journalism. In Gotham, Batman prowled shadows that would never be clean. On Themyscira, Wonder Woman trained warriors who would never match her skill. In Central City, Flash saved people at speeds that made time meaningless. Heroes who could fail kept trying anyway. Heroes who had weaknesses fought despite them. Heroes who could die chose to live anyway. And now Saitama, hero for fun, breaker of limiters, puncher of gods, was one of them. Not because he needed them, not because they could challenge him, but because being a hero was better with other heroes around. Even if they couldn't give him a real fight, even if nothing ever would, he'd still show up for movie night, still help when someone needed help, still be a hero for fun, because fun was the point, and friends made it more fun. The apartment was quiet except for terrible television drama. The soup had been too salty. His costume was in the laundry. Tomorrow he'd probably punch another villain who couldn't hurt him, save people who'd never understand his existential crisis and wonder why nothing felt meaningful anymore. But Friday, there'd be movie night. Gods eating popcorn, arguing about trivia, pretending they were normal people for a few hours. And maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. Saitama smiled slightly, barely noticeable, but there, and settled deeper into his couch. In the Justice League Watchtower, high above Earth, the Trinity stood watching the planet rotate in peaceful blue-green silence. He turned down Darkseid's offer. Superman said quietly, hands behind his back in classic stance. Rejected purpose and meaning because it would stop being fun. Insanity, Batman muttered, or wisdom so simple it appears insane. Wonder Woman smiled, hand resting on her sword hilt. He fights like a child. No technique, no strategy, just honest strength. But his spirit, that's pure warrior. He knows the greatest battle is maintaining yourself. Below them, Earth continued its ancient rotation. In Metropolis, Saitama cooked cabbage soup in his cheap apartment, following the TV chef's instructions with careful attention. In Gotham, Crime Alley's residents whispered about the bald hero who'd punched nightmares back to hell. In Apokolips, Darkseid studied combat footage with obsessive focus, searching for weaknesses that didn't exist. In the dark multiverse, the Batman who laughs rebuilt his shattered jaw and plotted revenge that would never come. Contingency status? Superman asked Batman, though he already knew the answer. 17 protocols in development, Batman admitted. None viable. He has no weaknesses I can exploit, no pressure points I can leverage. If he goes rogue, he trailed off, unwilling to say the obvious. He won't, Wonder Woman said with warrior certainty. I've fought beside gods and monsters. I recognize broken ones, those whose power corrupted them, drove them mad. He's not broken, he's just bored. And boredom isn't corruption. Yet, Batman added darkly. Superman turned from the window, cape settling around his shoulders. We have to trust him. Same way the world trusts us despite our power. Same way Batman trusts me not to become the injustice Superman. He met Bruce's eyes behind the cowl. Faith in each other is what makes us heroes instead of tyrants. Batman said nothing, which was as close to agreement as he'd get. On Earth, Saitama tasted his soup. Too salty. He'd added too much seasoning. He ate it anyway. Food was food, and wasting resources felt wrong, even with infinite power. His communicator sat on the counter, silent. No emergencies today. No cosmic threats. No villains who needed punching. Just Tuesday evening, in a dimension where gods walked as heroes and shadows hid detectives who cared too much. He finished his soup, washed his dishes, and settled onto the couch. Television flickered to life. Some hero drama about people with powers learning to use them responsibly. Probably terrible. But nothing else was on. The apartment was quiet except for television and the distant sounds of Metropolis. No alarms, no threats, no cosmic horrors demanding attention. Just a Tuesday afternoon with nothing requiring him to punch anything. It was perfect. In the DC universe, where hope shone brightest in the darkest night, even infinite power had found its place. Not through conquest or corruption, not through purpose or meaning, but through simple, uncomplicated heroism, one Tuesday at a time. So there you have it, Saitama, the hero who broke every rule by following the simplest one. Be a hero for fun. He made Darkseid bleed, survived the dark multiverse, and turned down godhood because it sounded like too much work. But let's be honest, this raises the real question. Is Saitama actually more dangerous than Darkseid? Not because of his power, but because he doesn't want anything. No ambition, no weakness, no pressure point Batman can exploit. Tell me in the comments, hero or ticking time bomb? And if you think I'm wrong about any of this, if you've got a DC character who could actually challenge Saitama, or a contingency Batman missed, defend your answer below. Best theory gets pinned. Like this video if you want more crossover chaos. Subscribe if you believe infinite power should come with infinite responsibility. Or if you think grocery shopping is a valid life goal. See you in the next one. For the algorithm, for the community, for the cabbage.